Western Arca Media Care, Howard Hanna post-game show. It's the Jamestown Red Raiders continue their roll at Highmark Stadium, continue to roll, and they win the Class A championship 41-0. Let me start with this. I'm going to turn this over to Jeremy, who is joining us alongside Tim Chifa and Joe Daniel. I'm thinking back to last year, and I'm sure a lot of those guys down the field they were in the sectional final game. Actually, it was back in the spring, I should say, and they were on a roll, undefeated, and then final play of the game in overtime, they lose on that 2-point conversion. Jeremy, I know you were at that game last year. What do you think the emotions are of those players after what happened last year to be able to win tonight?
Probably elation, because you overcome the embarrassment of losing a sectional title on your home turf and coming in back to Highmark for the first time in, I think, 7 years and putting up a 41-point performance. It's got to feel great, and that Jamestown team has been really riding high all season long.
I think that's got to be. I talked about in the pregame, but this is really a 3-year journey again. These Butera, Drag was starting as a freshman 2 years ago. Butera was a sophomore. They were leading the way and competing with the big dogs in AA. And again, last year, as I mentioned, they come up short in the sectional final. So this has got to be, I can imagine, a huge gratification for this Jamestown team. It was certainly a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably what they talked about literally since that game last year. I'm sure they talked about during their summer workouts, during their weightlifting in the summer, and then from the first practice on. But like we said during halftime, Francis, this team isn't done. They are not. We're gonna talk about who they're gonna play in a little bit, but this team is very special, and these teams don't come along too often. And this team really has what I feel a chance to really get themselves a state title.
And one of those special players is Jalen Butera, and I believe he had he had 3 touchdowns in the night, correct? And he was good from the very beginning, right, Joe?
Yeah, Butera, he really is something. I learned a little bit about him doing the weekly football show with you, and seeing him in person, it's really like no other. He's got strong legs, he's fast, and getting the 3 touchdowns. One was from 1 yard. He had a 22-yard run. Getting the 3 touchdowns, he was fantastic. But also another player that was really good was Ben Anderson. He got an interception in the end zone. He had a couple touchdowns. So what really was Anderson and Butera. But yeah, Butera, I mean, there's a reason why he's the number 1 running back in Western New York, and he really proved it on a big stage tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and when you can list running back after running back with all the success, you got to look to the offensive line then. Mm-hmm. And one of the players that stood out to me, he's the center, number 52, Caleb Bain. These players, they don't get a lot of love in the box, in the box score, and they're not the quote unquote superstar, but you're only as good as your line. Mm-hmm. When you're a running back or a quarterback, if you have no line, I don't care how good you are, you're not going to be successful. And we were down during the first half, and Jamestown came out, and they literally just punched Frontier right in the mouth, and they were going backwards. Frontier was going backwards every single play, and Jamestown, like Tom Prince always says, won the game in the trenches and just blew them off the ball consistently.
I mean, yeah, I've been mentioning Bain in my broadcast. When we do Jamestown down in Jamestown, I mentioned Bain. He's been really strong, not only on the center, but also on the kickoffs. He actually has, during the Orchard Park game, to clinch the game after taking the lead, he recovered an almost onside kick after it bounced off a Orchard Park player. But Caleb's been really strong, opening the holes so Butera could just run right into that A gap, and really he's been strong all season long. And then you got Anderson intercepting. Sincere Green, he had a silent night, but he's also been one of those defensive players to watch for Jamestown.
Yep. And to piggyback on Bain, is he's also the leader of that offensive line group too. So he's the center, and he's calling out coverages, he's calling out blitzes, along with his quarterback. And it's not just something you don't see that too often in high school football. Usually the center is either going to run block or pass block, and hopefully he doesn't have a bad snap if they're going in shotgun, right? But this kid is pointing out to linebackers who's blitzing. I mean, he is another leader on this offensive line that is just dominating these games.
Jamestown, I should mention again, if anyone does know, they won 41-0. Looking at their scores, a lot of times teams that run the table like this, you might find towards the end of the year, they start to run out of steam. That's the exact opposite for this team. Last game, in their rematch against Will South, they beat him 49-14. Week 2, 42-37. And then Frontier, that week 3 game, Jamestown only won 20-14. 41-0 tonight. So this team is getting even better, which is, you don't see that too often on a team that runs the table.
Yeah, you talk about wanting to hit on all cylinders at the right time. And, everyone talked about, Will South gave him the best game. Frontier gave him the best game. Look what they did to those two teams that, quote unquote, gave them the best game in the last 2 weeks. It's like 100-0 or whatever it is. I mean, it's crazy how bad they have beat these teams. So I can't imagine, how happy the Jamestown coaching staff must be. Not only are you healthy, which is huge at this part, as Frontier, right? Not only are you healthy, but you are hitting on all cylinders at the absolute right time.
Yeah, they were so impressive defensively. Frontier came close to scoring one time the whole game. If you look at the stats, like time of possession, Frontier had the ball a little bit more, but the difference in this game was the turnovers, big playability. Jamestown had it. Frontier didn't. I mean, every time Jamestown touched the ball, whether it was Anderson, whether it was Butera, that ball's going 10 yards. Frontier would get 5, 6, and then when it's 3-score game, Jamestown's okay with that. They're in the driver's seat. It was really a tough day. I mean, if you think about it, the fact is Frontier ran the ball 42 times, only got 152. And then Jamestown gets 3 less carries, another 147 around there, more yards. I mean, they were just so effective. And, we talk about the line play, guys. And in both games, offensive line made a difference. And one team struggled tonight, and it was in the first game. We'll get to it, but Frontier just could not open those lanes. And they're a team, guys, that they can't throw the ball. When they got down to 3, they threw a couple bad passes. Yeah. They were stuck. Yeah, it was a tough night.
And they did. I got to give them credit because they tried something. They were struggling in the first half. They switched quarterbacks in the second half. So they were trying, and let's be realistic here, okay? Mm-hmm. Frontier had a fantastic season.
Absolutely.
Okay? They have nothing to hold their heads, low about. They had a really great season, and they have a lot of kids coming back too. But they just ran into a buzzsaw, and it just happens sometimes, and they're running into a very special team. I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but they ran into a very special team that is hitting on all cylinders, from the lineman to the quarterback and obviously the running backs.
I mean, and also we're going to go back to kind of growth with Trey Drake, because today I believe he only had 1 or 2 incompletions all game. Last year against South Park, he struggled in the passing game. He did have Jalen. He had Elijah Rojas last year. But this year I saw him be more composed in the pocket. He was setting his feet more properly, and he was just really hitting his targets all night long.
He took what the defense gave him. He didn't try to force anything. He was you said the word composure. I mean, that's the first word that came to my mind, because, he didn't have what you call happy feet. Mm-hmm. And I think he had that last year a little bit because, South Park was pressure all over him. But he was composed in the pocket, and he didn't take any risks when he didn't have to. He was hitting the swing mans when they were open. He was dumping down, to the 3rd or 4th option. So, like I said, in the pregame show, he doesn't really have the stats, that, a superstar quarterback would have. But I'm telling you, if they have closer games, he would have way more yards because they don't have to throw that much.
And Francis, usually when we do games, I get to ask you questions. So I'm going to ask you a question here.
Oh, boy.
Jamestown, Frontier, did it show that Jamestown has played in a game like this before with the experience from 2 years ago, and Frontier just not ready for that big stage yet?
I think that was certainly part of it. Frontier really hasn't been here in a long time. I think what did we say their last time at the
13.
Stadium was
Against
2013.
Jamestown too.
It was a long time ago. At Jamestown, as he was just talking about, they were playing double A's. Remember, Lancaster teams led that by the Manzels. They were right there with them in the semifinals.
But you know what, Francis? Though, that being said, though, high school football, when you lose your starting quarterback with 2 games left, it's not like pro football where it's next man up mentality. When you lose your starting quarterback in high school, you're losing one of your best athletes also.
And you often have to change your offense.
Exactly. So we talked about, probably going from a 60 to 65 playbook down to probably a 20 play playbook. So it's a huge, they had an uphill battle already playing against Jamestown. But when you lose your starting quarterback also, I mean, that was really a tough position to be in for Frontier.
So, guys, does that affect not only the passing, but also the run plays too with a backup quarterback?
Not only does it affect it, but the defense can zone in on it because they're going to dare you to throw at that point.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the threat to throw, your run game is,
and they don't throw the ball. The guys both, I mean, they don't throw the ball a lot as it is. Right. So the minute they couldn't run the ball, they were in trouble, and it showed.
Yeah.
I believe it was like first 2 throws from Frontier were both interceptions.
Yeah.
Tonight.
So Jamestown moves on to the Far West Regionals next weekend, and this is going to be an exciting one because it's actually going to be at Strider Field in Jamestown. I imagine that place is going to be packed, and we do know who they are facing.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to play Canandaigua Academy, who is, according to Max Preps, they're 11-0. Haven't had many close games other than tonight. They won 16-14, I believe. But other than that, they have blown out every opponent they have played. So I haven't seen them play. I don't think any of us have. Have you seen them play?
I have not.
So I'm excited because it looks like there's going to be 2 really good teams going at it.
That'll be 8:00 Friday night in Jamestown. Red Raiders going to be lucky. They already set these. The Friday games are going to be in Jamestown. The Saturday games are going to be at Williamsville South. Before we go, Randolph won earlier. They defeated 26-0 Franklinville Ellicottville to win the Class D title. They will play 5:00 in Jamestown Friday night, guys. I know we only had some of you guys from that game. Just perform another great performance by a running back in Xander Hind.
Yeah, Hind, 15-yard run for a touchdown, and then he also had a 3-yard run. But what really got him going, that 29-yard touchdown pass on a 4th down in 19 from the 29, so it's 29-yard touchdown pass. Randolph had done nothing the first 2 drives, and then they score on basically every drive except maybe one near the end of the game. They were really impressive. Hine was great. Bush, the 52-yard run. Randolph looked really good tonight.
Great defensively, too. Another, putting up a shutout at the Ralph. 2 teams today putting up a shutout. Can't say enough about defense in this game either.
All right, so you can watch that game right now on Western York Lakes. You want to reach watch that. We, as you probably know, we did not carry the Jamestown, the Class A game live because it was on Spectrum, but we are going to show that game on tape delay. That's tomorrow morning, 9:00, right here on Western New York Athletics. And then after the game, our live coverage continues from Highmark Stadium, 11:30. I'll be here. I know Frank will be here. We'll have a few other people. I think you guys will be here too. In and out. We will continue our live coverage 11:30 pregame of the Class C game, and we'll have halftime, postgame for the other games as well. We'll have Class B is the second one, and then capping it off with Class AA. And then on top of all that, 6:00 we'll also have the Monsignor Martin Championship game over at St. Francis Streaming Live. So a huge weekend of high school football. This is just the beginning. The excitement only continues from here.
I won't throw anything in there, but go St. Francis. I'm rooting for you. Canisius, when you go to St. Francis, like I said, it's just a good rivalry. It's a healthy rivalry. Like, if Canisius wins, that's okay. And congratulations to them. But we'll be rooting for St. Francis. If I was in the booth, guys, I'd be neutral.
It's
but
2 fantastic.
I am not in the
teams,
booth. Yeah, it is 2
fantastic football teams. It really is.
Yeah, it should be a good game.
All right, so we know.
Hold on. What's your thoughts on tomorrow night's game?
Oh, that's right. Jeremy's going to be there.
You're going to be there?
I'm going to be probably here actually for Lancaster Bennett. So.
All right. Actually, so we know Joe's favorite game. So before we go, from you two guys, which game tomorrow of those 4 are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to Lancaster Bennett because Bennett has an opportunity this year to end the run of Lancaster. They're really been a powerhouse in AA. They're the only team this year to beat Lancaster. So I think Bennett can upset Lancaster tomorrow.
And if Lancaster does win, they would be 6 in a row sectional titles. The only other team to do that in Section 6 is the Sweet Home team in the mid-2000s under the late John Fowler. That team went to back-to-back state titles. So that's some real awesome company for Lancaster to be in if they win tomorrow. Tim, favorite game you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to all of them, but I'm looking forward. I think my man Tyler Baker is going to get a little revenge tomorrow on St. Francis tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that one. But the first game that we're doing tomorrow, Medina, Fredonia, right? I mean, two great teams, special offenses. I like good quarterback play. I think you're going to see it in that game. I'm really looking forward to that one.
I would say that would be my favorite as well. The way these two teams are built, I love this Medina offense. I could go on and on. We were talking for a good 5 minutes just about what that Medina offense does and their different formations and just how fun that program is and great people in Medina. And Fredonia has great people too, but Frank always talks about Fredonia. I'm going to talk about Medina, Coach Valley, and that program. So again, that's all tomorrow. So a reminder, tape delay of this game will appear 9 in the morning tomorrow of this Jamestown win over Frontier, and live coverage continues 11:30 with pregame of the Class C final between Medina and Fredonia at 11:30. So for Joe Daniel, Jeremy Becker, Tim Chiefa, I'm Francis Beck. Jamestown wins the Class A title 41-0. Thanks for watching Western New York Athletics live coverage of the Section 6 football championships at Highmark Stadium.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. Ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.